We don't know. We don't know what happened to these 4 students at this Idaho college, but we do know they were brutally murdered. We just don't know how, we don't know by whom, and we still don't understand why. Now, there has been a development. The attorney for one of the victims' families, Kaylee Gonsalves, the family believes that she was specifically targeted, that she was dealt with differently by the murderer, that they believe that there's forensic evidence of that, and they want answers. And they had a meeting with a list of questions. And what happened was very disturbing to them. Let's see how you feel about it. Right now, his attorney, Shannon Gray, represents the family. It's good to have you.
Thanks for having us.
So what was your overall take of what happened at the meeting with authorities?
Well, we started the meeting. When we went in, we had the Latah County prosecutor was there. Chief Fry was there from the Moscow Police Department. The 2 lead investigators. One of the lead investigators is an Officer Payne. The other one was the Idaho State Police. And we went in with really a theme about accountability and communication. Part of it was the accountability aspect of it is asking a lot of hard questions about why they made the decisions they've made regarding the investigation. And the communication aspect of it is really the poor communication that they've had with the families.
Now, you know this, you're a pro. The obvious pushback is, hey, look, we're doing our best. We're totally overwhelmed. Everybody makes mistakes. We're going to tell you information when we have it. We don't have it. Why doesn't that cut the mustard with you on this?
Well, a lot of the decisions they've made, from the get-go, we still get more and more information every day about mishaps or missteps that I think the investigation has made. One of the questions we asked when we went in was, why not, within the first 24 to 48 hours, release some information about, we're looking for someone that may have missed work, that may have come in with, injuries to their forearms or their hands, things like that. It's a small community. People that have taken a vacation immediately, things like that normal things that may be abnormal to people that live in the community, and getting that out. And they said they didn't do it because of investigative reasons. It's the lack of consistency throughout. You have the Art Betke, the mayor, who says it's a crime of passion from the get-go, and then you have the Latah County prosecutor talking about the targeting aspect, and then the next day Chief Fry walks back on that. You have the coroner who is giving out all types of information, making personal phone calls to the family. And when we were in the meeting, the lead investigator, Officer Payne, didn't even know that the coroner had spoken with the families.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com.
That affidavit, I sat down and spoke with Steve Gonsalves. He's the father of one of the victims, Kaylee Gonsalves. He was defiant, still grieving. Here's what he said it was like to see the suspect in court face to face. All right, so Steve, there's so much of what has to be just upsetting information seeing this arrest affidavit now. My first question is, as always, just how are you and your family doing?
Well, it's a bit of a narrative change. You go from hunting, looking, poking, like you always see these shows where it's somebody that you know, somebody close, somebody you trust. And I had a hard time with that because Kaylee was so kind to people. She was ornery to us, and she was ornery to our brothers, and her sisters. But for all outward appearances, she was a very, very nice person. So we were a little bit puzzled by, we just weren't ready for a bully story or something along those lines. So you read the affidavit, and you just find out that nobody understands exactly why, but he was stalking them. He was hunting them. He was just a person looking for an opportunity, and it just happened to be in that house. And that's hard to take. It's very hard to take. And, I've said this before. Well, I thought maybe I should have put her in some gun safety courses, have done something, but she had her phone right next to her, and she couldn't call 911. So these were just girls that went to sleep that night, and hunter that went out and he picked his little opponent that was girls. And that's probably why the house was targeted. It was because there was just girls there. And it ended up being a little bit more of a different challenge, different instance he wasn't prepared for. But I think that's what the affidavit shows, is somebody who was stalking a house.
Goodness, yeah, that's one thing that stood out to me, the idea that his cell phone information showed he had been in the area of the house at least 12 times before. Do you believe Kohberger was stalking your daughter in particular, or just the house itself and all the folks living there?
No, I don't think it was Kaylee in particular. There's other details that'll come out later on.
Do you believe Kohberger was stalking your daughter in particular, or just the house itself and all the folks living there?
No, I don't think it was Kaylee in particular. There's other details that'll come out later on. No, I don't think it was Kaylee in particular. There's other details that'll come out later on. No, I don't think it was Kaylee in particular. There's other details that'll come out later on. But I've always said this to Maddie's mother and her father, that does it really matter?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe in the case it does, but to us, none of these girls deserve this. And I don't want a parent to think that, to feel even worse than when you go through this, to think that, oh, my girl said something that caught him off guard, and then these other people are just a part of it. That's a cancer inside you, and I'm not going to let that happen. I'm going to try to keep my family from thinking anything like that. The real problem we have is we have an individual that thought it was okay to, attack other human beings, and that's what I'm going to focus on.
Of course, and then that's got to be just a brutal thought to live with. Was there any sense, have you been told if there was any contact between Kohberger and them prior to this, or was he just surveilling them from afar?
I don't have any pinpoint information that I can share that would say that they were directly in contact. There's definitely rumor mills out there that say that there's going to be more information. We can almost guarantee that there's going to be more details that are going to be brought in. I'd be a little bit surprised if there wasn't a clearer touch point that would suggest that he was interested in one or two of the people more than he was the others. But at this point in time, we have enough in that affidavit to believe that this defendant has a lot to explain.
Yeah, no question. He's, of course, innocent until proven guilty, nature of our justice system. Have investigators shared with you any indication as to a possible motive? No, we haven't got down that. I know that I'm supposed to be doing an interview with them. Mm-hmm. Shannon's putting that together and coordinating that. So that may be something that comes up, but they're very careful. And I've told them, don't tell me something that puts me in a situation where I might disclose something that could hurt the case. Also in the affidavit, it says that the surviving roommate, identified just by the initials DM, says she heard crying coming from one of the rooms, saw a man dressed in black with a mask on walk past her. Do we know why police were not called until several hours after that? We don't have those details. I do know that she was petrified, and I think people respond a little bit different. I don't want to make her a victim, and people are mean. They'll go after people, and I say don't do it in my name, not my family name. I think she was just scared, very scared, and it's not like Hollywood where everyone behaves like people think they would, and eventually we'll get all the details and we'll understand a little bit more. I get it. It's probably going to be like a medical. Petrified is the right word. I could understand. I do want to ask you before we go, you were in court You had the chance to see Koberger, perhaps to look him in the eyes. What were you feeling at that moment?
I was pretty angry. I was pretty heated. I wanted him to look me in the eye. He knows I want him to look him in the eye. So he didn't. He didn't give me that opportunity. When he was back in his home state, Pennsylvania, he did turn around and look for his parents and not me. He didn't give me that. So I think he's understands that I'm not going to see something in his eyes that I want to see. I want to see an innocent man. But I feel like he's scared to look at me in the eyes and start to understand what's about to happen to him.
Yeah.
He picked the wrong family, and not scared of a conflict, and we're not scared. We're not running. We're coming at him, and the defendant has his hands full.
Did you sense anything from him, any emotion in that moment, in that courtroom?
I did. I sensed somebody shocked and scared and not prepared. Almost like a sense of this is nothing like I thought it was going to be. So his mannerisms, his body language, I'm pretty in tune with certain guys. I've played sports my whole life. I've been in different gyms. I've been in conference rooms with white collar. I can sense confidence, and I did not sense that at all. I sensed somebody who was flaring, scared, and worried.
I'll tell you, Eric, I've been speaking with Steve for a number of weeks now, and I sense, you can see it in there, you sense exhaustion. I mean, of course we would be having lost a child that way, but also this is the first time I sensed really more resolve there, right? I mean, I think what came across to me is, you heard him say there, he picked the wrong family, the suspect picked the wrong family, that there's a path to justice here, right? That he was expressing, but still heartbreak, right? I mean, the way he described it, that his view is that this guy was hunting those victims.
And to hear him talk about, we know as parents, but to imagine as a parent, to hear him say, my daughter had her phone right there and she couldn't even call 911, how helpless he must feel. And I was also just really struck by his empathy and his grace. And I think, again, just a testament to him as a parent. When you asked him the question that a lot of people have about the roommate who, according to the affidavit, was home, saw who we believe was the suspect, right? But then there were no calls for 8 hours, and him just saying, look, this is not a movie. This is just, you have to try to put yourself in that moment. I think it just, speaks to who he is.
Good for him for saying that. I mean, as he said, petrified. I mean, this is a girl just out of her teenage years who witnessed, you can imagine the fear in that moment. Anyway, we'll keep on the story. A lot more to come.
Mother and father of Kaylee Gonzalez. They've been patiently waiting by. Their attorney, Shannon Gray, is also standing by as well. And thank you, all of you, for doing this and giving us this opportunity to touch base with you. I know this has got to have been one of the most difficult days of your life. Steve, let me begin with you. Your reaction after laying eyes on the person accused of doing this horrendous crime against your family.
And just my last question, Christy, I mean, you're such a strong family, and there's been so many twists and turns like that I don't think anyone really expected along the way. I mean, how do you guys manage to hold it together so well?
Oh boy, it's not easy, but I've got him and the rest of the kids and our moms, and we all hash it out together. We all cry together, and just we've got Shannon to get on the phone, big group calls and figure it out, and we always try to find the silver lining, and this isn't the end. This isn't the end of the road. This is not over. This isn't a, because I take it to heart, like that's a win for them, and it's like tick for tack. But, other people in the family have different mentality than that. And, they say, Mom, you got to look at the bigger picture. You can't, it's not tick for tack. It's not tick for tack. And sometimes I'm kind of simple minded like that, but I got to talk to the kids and they grounded me and bring me back down, and Steve does and Shannon does. And I just got to keep talking to them and listening to them and have them help me out.
A reminder that there was DNA evidence found on the sleeve underneath the leg. That good luck with that.
Have them help me out.
A reminder that there was DNA evidence found on the sleeve underneath the leg. That good luck with that.
Documents reveal Brian Kohlberger, the suspect accused of killing 4 Idaho college students, apparently stalked their home at least 12 times before the crime and came face to face with another roommate during the murders.
Cell phone data also shows he apparently returned to the scene just hours later before police were even called.
And our next guest unfortunately lost his daughter, Kaylee, during that attack. His name is Steve Gonzalez, and he also joins us with attorney Shannon Gray. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Good morning. Steve, were you there? Were you there in the courtroom?
I sure were. We expect to have somebody there every day.
What did you think when you saw the suspect, the man that might have killed or is allegedly killed your daughter?
Yeah, when I seen the defendant, I seen somebody that looked like he was overwhelmed and had no idea what was going on. He didn't look as confident as I thought he was going to be based off of his background.
How'd you feel, though?
Oh, my feelings were, I was angry. I'll be honest, I was angry, and I wanted to do, my mind was filled with different things, but I kept my cool and my composure, and there's a right way to do things, and that's what I was thinking about.
Steve, I can't imagine. Also want to get your reaction to this affidavit, which revealed a lot of information we didn't previously know. What of the revelation, what were new to you? What details stick out to you?
The actual location of the sleeve, the knife sleeve. The actual location of the sleeve, the knife sleeve. That we had heard that there was a sleeve, but we didn't know the location. We heard there was a DNA, but there wasn't a hit in the database. So knowing that they had put all those things together in the timeline that they wrote from like the beginning to the last page was very precise, and it painted a picture of, weeks and weeks of investigation and following. And each line gave me a little bit more confidence that we were in a very good position.
Steve, there's so many questions. As great and as informative as that affidavit was, there's still a lot of questions out there. Just curious, did they keep the families involved? And if so, how? Did they say, we're very confident we have a suspect, we think we're getting closer? Did they let you see this timeline before they actually even made the arrest?
No, we filled in parts of the timelines through the time. It was a co-work, but those guys did by far the vast majority of the work. We kind of inserted ourselves, and we said we need to be communicated. We wanted to have meetings. We wanted to be helpful. We had this audience. We had people that were willing to listen and willing to help and provide information that may have been missing. We had this white card to look for. So yeah, they helped, and we worked together. But I didn't have the details like that, and I told them not to give me any details that could accidentally mess up the case.
So did you know for the first time, like we did, that one of the roommates came face to face with him and described him with bushy eyebrows, with a thin build but an athletic build, the way we now know that was written? Did you know that?
I had heard that somebody had seen somebody in a mask. I didn't know if it was something that was like yelled out, and one of the people that was downstairs heard that, I did not know it was one of the people downstairs that actually eyewitnessed this person. And to me, it was just a call. So I wasn't positive that it wasn't just a rumor. So we never mentioned it. The details in the affidavit are kind of shocking. But I'm sure we'll get the more details as time goes on. But yeah, it reads very bizarre.
Shannon, if he is convicted, do you expect the death penalty?
Well, I think Steve and the family have talked about it, and I think it's something that the decision that will be made by all the families on whether or not the death penalty is something that the state pursues on this case. So I don't think it's just a decision for the Gonzalez family. I think it's a decision for all the victims' families, and then, they'll see where it goes from there.
Shannon, you had a chance to look at this affidavit as well. How airtight is the case as you look at it right now?
Well, I thought the affidavit was, a lot of information was in the affidavit, and it sounds like it's a solid case. I was a former prosecutor myself, now a criminal defense attorney. I look at it in both ways. As a prosecution, it looks like it has a really great timeline. There's DNA evidence. There's the evidence from the cell phones and the automobile, and that he was aware of the location coming back and forth. So there's a lot of good information there. And then when I flip over to the defense side, I still have a hard time understanding how they're going to get past the DNA evidence on the sheath. A lot of times in cases that I've defended, sometimes you go in and you sit down and you talk with the defendant and say, hey, this is a great piece of evidence. How do we get past this piece of evidence? And so I think that's one of the most convincing pieces of the affidavit is the DNA evidence. So
sometimes, Steve, you have gut feelings. Did you think when you looked at this guy in the jumpsuit, you were looking at your daughter's killer?
Yeah, I did. I did a research before I came into that courtroom. I was looking for a certain look. I wanted him to meet me eye to eye. He had done that exact same behavior previously when he was in Pennsylvania, and he chose not to, or he was afraid to look back. And for me, that wasn't a good sign.
What about the fact that he smiled?
I didn't see it. I heard about that later. I don't know. It's hard to comment on that.
Steve, we're all parents, and for every parent watching, when you give birth, you hold that baby and you have all these dreams for them, and you go through the hard years, the years of them always being with you and needing your help to get the small things, the cereal, the milk, and all of that. And then you go through the hard teenage years, and then you look forward to their 20s when they're going to get married and they're going to bring grandchildren home, and you've gotten through all that and you've raised these amazing kids. He robbed that from you and your wife. What goes through your mind when you think about that? Do you think about that when you see him, or do you just want to jump over and do what most dads would want to do and take him out or take him down and, beat him up or whatever it is?
I mean, the physical side is there, but I know that's not realistic. So what I go with is I can make this man feel like he picked the very worst family to do that to. And every time he turns on the TV, he sees us. And every time he thinks something positive is happening in his case, he sees one of us communicating and he realizes he has zero hope. That's what I hope, and that's what I can do. I don't want to worry and think about things that I'm still going to, but those aren't realistic things for me to just put my time and energy into. I might as well stay focused on what I can do, and I want this guy to be sick of seeing me, sick of hearing the cases. New evidence keeps coming in from audience members, just like what you guys have on today, and I want this case to get stronger and stronger to the point where he realizes that he's not going to be on the planet that long.
Steve, you've been an amazing advocate for your daughter, and the courage it takes to be in that courtroom and see him is immense. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, as well as Shannon Gray, the attorney. Good luck as things move forward to January 12th.
Yeah.
Does it ever end with Brian Kohberger, the man charged in the murders of 4 beautiful, that's the only word I can really think of to describe the Idaho University students that were slaughtered in their own beds? Joining me, a real expert, Chris McDonough